covering all your local high school football games with highlights and scores. Now, Football Friday, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Gary Harris. Welcome into Week 5 of the high school football season and Week 6 of WVUA 23's Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. A reminder that the first week of our show was Week 0 of the football season, so that's why there's a discrepancy between the football season weeks and Football Friday weeks. Football Friday's 1 hour again this year, and we're loaded again tonight, even though I will tell you this, there's a lot of bye weeks. We're about halfway through the season, so there's 11 weeks to play 10 games. A lot of teams took byes this week, so we don't have nearly as many games as usual, but still, we've got highlights from 14 high school football games for you, plus our complete Football Friday high school scoreboard, our Football Friday Band of the Week, our premier service company Outside the Huddle feature, recruiting tales around the SEC, Conyers Corner, and yes, even more. And we begin with our Game of the Week.
Now, the Football Friday Game of the Week.
The 8 Mile War, Class 1A Pickens County, hosting Class 3A Gordo. It's been over a decade since Pickens County won one of these. Jace Neal was trying to make sure they didn't again tonight as he hands it off to Cameron Lark. And Cameron Lark has got reservations for 6. Well, not quite yet. I showed him he got down to the 4-yard line. Now is the touchdown. It's on top for Gordo Green Wave. Pickens County offense trying to get it going again. This is, intense rivalry, but a lot of respect between the two. Michael Billups hands it off to Willie Wyndham for a first down. But Pickens County could not get anything going, so they had to punt and wind up getting a safety right here for Gordo. After the safety, the Green Wave got the ball back, and they drive it down again. Neal hands the ball off to Chris Javion Lark, another one of the Larks for the touchdown. And here it is right before halftime. Neal hits Chris Javion Lark again out to practice early. 29-yard touchdown. And in our Game of the Week tonight, Pickens County loses again to Gordo as we check out the final. Gordo 44-0. Again, just 8 miles separates these two schools. Pickens County has been traditionally a great program in Class 1A. They're rebuilding a little bit this year, and Gordo is a contender for a state championship in 3A, and they get the win tonight. We'll have more on this game coming up a little bit later on. Class 4A tonight, Bibb County from Class 4A driving up to Tuscaloosa to play Class 6A Northridge. We have a case of a lot of the smaller classifications winning tonight. That would be the case in this one. Northridge a bad snap. Bibb County recovers, and that leads to Jordan Leverett, 35-yard touchdown run. Bibb on top 7-0. The Jags fighting back in this one. Brylan Tubbs, inside run, picks up a first down. Northridge, though, had to settle for a Caleb Schofield 20-yard field goal to cut the Bibb County lead to 7-3. 4th and 7, Choctaws go for it, and Leverett finds McCain McMillan. It's a great call, 18-yard touchdown. Why try to get the first? Just go for 6. Northridge, though, responds. Colin Kapilovic, a 1-yard touchdown to make it 14-10. After another Bibb County touchdown, 8 seconds left in the half, and Schofield, who is an outstanding kicker, hits a 30-yard field goal. This one was very competitive at half, 21-13. But as we check out the final, all Bibb in the second half. They outscore the Jags 21-0. So 4A Bibb County gets the win over 6A Northridge tonight here in Tuscaloosa, 42-13 the final score. Central hosting Gardendale in non-region action tonight. The Falcons at home at Falcon Field. In the second quarter, Central defensive lineman Jackson Carlisle is going to get some pressure on Deacon Dyer, and he's going to do more than get pressure. He's going to get the sack. Good defense by the Falcons. Third quarter, Gardendale quarterback Deacon Dyer, though, going to get a little payback as he's going to find Elijah Casey. And Casey is going to make some guys miss. Gives his best Ryan Williams impression right there for the touchdown. Gardendale leads 27-7. Late in the third, Central and their young talented quarterback Armani White, they're going to hand it off to James Freeman, who punches it in for 6. 27-14. Central came back in this one and made a ball game out of it, but Gardendale gets the win tonight by the final of 33-28. Paul Bryant hosting Chelsea this evening here in Tuscaloosa. And the Chelsea Hornets came to play early in this one. On defense, linebacker Briston Hardy jumped on a stampede fumble on the first play of the game. Shortly after, Hardy makes another big play, this time on offense. 21-yard touchdown. The Hornets go up 7-0. Chelsea continue to get it going in this one. Quarterback Sam Parrish finds Lamel Martinaire in the flat. He gets it over for a touchdown to make it 14-0. And Chelsea still not done. Started the second quarter. Parrish threads the needle on the goal line to Gabe Penley, giving Chelsea a commanding 21-0 lead. Paul Bryant, though, under Kristen Jones, they will not quit. I promise you that. They keep fighting. Late in the second, quarterback Javion Johnson finds Aiden Ruffin, who goes up and high points it for a 40-yard reception. But Bryant was unable to capitalize, and Chelsea took a 21-point lead into the half, and they go on to win it tonight over the Paul Bryant Stampede, 49-12, the final score. Well, we are off and running on the latest edition of WVUA 23's Football Friday. Still to come, the Hoover Bucks face the Parker Thundering Herd in a highly anticipated matchup. But first, the Hillcrest Patriots welcomed an old rival from their Class 6A days in the form of the Hueytown Golden Gophers. Highlights from that game and more are on the way next on Football Friday.
Cheerleaders. And you're watching Friday Night Football on WVUA 23. Go Bears!
And the Sipsey Valley High School cheerleaders bring us back into Football Friday on WVUA 23. I'm Gary Harris. Crazy game in college football tonight before we get back to our high school highlights. I want to give you an update here. Number 7 and unbeaten Miami hosting Virginia Tech tonight down in South Florida. And what a crazy game. Back and forth all night. And Miami took a 38-34 lead with less than 2 minutes to go. Virginia Tech drove it down and had a fourth down with 3 seconds to go. Threw it into the end zone. Initially, it was ruled an interception. Then it was ruled a touchdown. They went to the monitor. They reverse it back to an interception. Miami wins barely and hangs on to stay unbeaten tonight over Virginia Tech in the ACC 38-34. All right, back to high school football. It's been a tough go for the Hillcrest Patriots so far in Class 7A. Tonight, the Pats welcomed one of their old Class 6A rivals to town, the Hueytown Golden Gophers. Here we go. Patriots on offense after forcing a 3-and-out. Bryson Kimbrough finds Caden Smith. Caden Smith keeps his balance there. Nice job. Gets it into the end zone. Pats up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. The Golden Gophers, though, moving the ball down the field. Jabron Ellington finds Drayden Foster. This is in the second quarter for a big game. Hueytown now at the 1, and Ellington is just going to call his own number right there. Wow, what a hole. He walks it into the end zone, 7-7. Hillcrest, though, right before half. It's Kimbrough taking it himself. And he gets it in with nice blocking as he just walks in from 5 yards out. Hillcrest up 14-7 at the break, and they go on to win it big tonight. This is what they did when they were in 6A. They beat up on everybody. They've moved up to 7A, but this was kind of blast from the past tonight. Hillcrest all over Hueytown, 48-13. The Patriots improved to 3-3 on the season. 4-1 Northside. They had their first loss of the season last week at Shelby County. Back home for only the second time this year, hosting Lincoln. It's homecoming, and the Rams had every intention of making it a happy homecoming. Northside gets it going quickly. Lincoln had to punt it after their first drive, and Jackson Rhodes hands it off to Bennett Green for an easy touchdown. 7-0. Rams on top. Next possession, Northside's Jackson Rhodes completes a 35-yard pass to J.J. Case. It's 14-0 Rams, and this was going to be a theme tonight on homecoming up at Northside. Late in the first quarter, Rhodes to Austin Keitlinger, and he's behind the defense. And then when they catch up with him, hey, man, you got to wrap this guy up. He's big and he's fast. That's an 87-yard touchdown. Great play by Keitlinger, 21-0 Northside. Northside led at half, 27-zip, and they remain dominant in the second half and go on to an easy win tonight in style on homecoming, 54-0. The Rams shut out Lincoln tonight up at Northside. All right, Holt traveled to Carrollton tonight to play Pickens Academy, and the Pirates taking the field. Felt great out there tonight, by the way. And opening drive of the game, Jalen Williams gets the ball out, and Aaron Kirk and the Pirates defense lets them know they've come to play tonight. 2 plays later, though, Williams would hurt the Pirates in the Wildcat formation as he gets a first down. Williams again on the same drive. And this is what you call just playing good old-fashioned smash-mouth football by the Ironmen tonight. Moving the chains, And they're going to give Williams a rest. This time it's Tamaris Harris, and he finds room over the left side. And that would lead to Williams coming back in and getting a touchdown. And Holt takes the lead, and Holt gets a big win tonight on the road up in Carrollton over Pickens Academy, 47-0, the final score. Back here in Tuscaloosa, Holy Spirit Catholic hosting Hubbertville. The Saints looking to get a home win tonight, but Hubbertville always one of the top programs in small school ranks, and bad snap. That's not the way you want to get the game started for Holy Spirit. Hubbertville gets the football, and Timothy Keaton blasts his way into the end zone for a 7-0 lead. Ensuing kickoff, and Hubbertville kind of just punches it up in the air on the kick, and Holy Spirit can't handle it, and Hubbertville's got the football, and that will pay off. Quarterback Blaze Wakefield punches it across. That was 4th and goal, by the way. The Lions get it in to make it 14-0. Later in the first quarter, Hubbertville running back Timothy Keaton follows his blocking into the end zone, and it is all Hubbertville tonight as the Lions win it over the Saints here in Tuscaloosa. 56-22 is the final score in that one. Class 6A Superpower Clay-Chalkville at Class 7A Superpower Thompson on homecoming. Thompson's homecoming queen will watch a heck of a ball game. Clay-Chalkville starts fast. Joshua Woods finishes off an early drive, 7-0. The Cougars are on top. Same score at the start of the fourth quarter, and Clay-Chalkville 4th and 1, but they are stuffed. Warriors come up with a stand, and they have life. Trent Seaboard then hits Darian Mosley on the slant, and he is going to get it all the way down to the 8-yard line. Remember, it's 7-0 at this point. 2 plays later, the Warriors' R.J. Evans breaking tackles and getting it into the end zone. We're tied at 7. The game goes to overtime. Clay-Chalkville is going to get a little tricky. Look at that. It looks like it's defended, but my gosh, just great individual effort, and it leads to a touchdown. They made the extra point. They led 14-7. Thompson, though, would answer. Seaborn to Trey Knight, but they were flagged for a celebration penalty. That's a lack of discipline, and no, Mark Freeman doesn't like that. You know what that means? That means that's a 15-yard penalty on the extra point, and John McGuire misses it. Hooks it left. Clay-Chalkville, Class 6A, defending state champion, beats the mighty Class 7A Thompson Warriors tonight, 14-13. Thompson continues to dominate 7A. They just don't want to play anybody from outer state or in Class 6A, because those are 2 losses tonight, this season, I should say, out of state and in Class 6A to Clay-Chalkville tonight. What a game. Still to come on this edition of Football Friday, Bama Central's Joe Gaither will join me for high school analysis. But up next, more highlights, including another 6A versus 7A as the Hoover Bucks hosted the Parker Thundering Herd. This was another great game. We'll have it for you next right here on Football Friday. And we're back on WVUA 23's Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. We've already seen the top Class 7A, one of the top Class 7A team versus a top Class 6A matchup with Thompson versus Clay-Chalkville. 6A team won it. How about another one now with Class 7A Hoover hosting Class 6A Parker at the Hoover Met? And this was another heck of a ball game. Got some rain in this one, and so it was wet early on. First drive for Parker, 3rd and long, and quarterback Timothy Merritt trying to keep the play alive, scrambling all over the place until he is blindsided by Justin Hartley. And lucky he held on to that football. Hoover up 3-0 now after 1 second quarter, though. Once the rain went away, the Thundering Herd went to work. Merritt going deep for Kentrell Davis. He's got it, a 44-yard touchdown, 7-3 Parker. Under 3 minutes to play in the first half, still 7-3. Bucks trying to make a play, but it's going the other way. Mac Beeson's pass is tipped and picked off by Talton Thomas. The senior makes the play for the Thundering Herd. And plenty of defense in this one. He's eventually taken down, and it was plenty of defense in the game. But as we check out the final, there's another case of 6A over 7A. Parker wins over at the Hoover Met over the Hoover Bucks tonight, 14-10. But again, remember, these does not impact your region play at all. You go different classifications, but a big, big win for Parker tonight. Homewood at Mountain Brook, 2 top 10 teams in Class 6A going at it at Spartan Stadium. And the Patriots driving. Will Myers goes to pass, but the ball is tipped, broken up by Bo Curry. Late in the second quarter, Myers dropping back again, pressured, tucks it in, and secures the football and runs for a first down and then some. Pats would settle for a field goal to make it 6-3. Big play with 10 seconds to go in the first half. Caden Walker Hoffbauer hits Sam Smith in stride. What a big touchdown for the Spartans. They go up 13-3 at the break. Third quarter, Spartans march it right down the field. Stuart Andrews, a 55-yard run, gets them down into the red zone, and a 4-yard run from Lawson McKnight gets the touchdown. Mountain Brook with a nice lead. They have to hang on, but they get the win tonight over Homewood, 27-22, the final score in that ball game. Helena, the Huskies hosting the Oxford Yellow Jackets tonight, and Oxford Yellow Jackets, they're really, really good. They're going to capitalize on an early turnover. Mason Mims to wide open Damius Wilson in the end zone. And Oxford up 21-3 at Helena. And then Nathan Ferguson throws it up, and it's picked off by freshman Ladarius Walker, just a freshman. I think that kid's got some talent, already playing back there at corner. And the first drive of the second half, the Huskies, though, make it a ball game. Jeremy Spratling gets it into the paint for the touchdown to make it 21-10, but then Mims in the pocket throws it deep to Jalen Taylor for another Yellow Jackets touchdown, and Oxford tonight gets the win as they are looking every bit the part of a state championship contender in Class 6A as they take down Helena tonight, 35-10, the Final Four. Spain Park went north to the Huntsville area to take on James Clemens tonight. The Spain Park Jaguars unbeaten on the season. We're going to pick it up. It was rainy there. Well, let's say actually Madison, but the Madison-Huntsville area. And it's Brock Bradley getting the touchdown to make it 14-7. Late in the half, James Clemens going to make a mistake right here. Yeah, we're going to check that. That's James Clemens getting some yardage. And they're going to kick a field goal. And it goes through. 17-14 at the half. Let's check out the final. Spain Park gets the win tonight as they take it on the road, 34-24. So Spain Park stays unbeaten on the season. Thursday night high school football up in Fayette as Fayette County hosted Winfield in a non-region matchup. Picking up 9 minutes left in the second quarter, Winfield breaks through. Brady May to Garrett Beasley for the touchdown. They went for 2 and made it. And it's a little bit of controversy on this 2-point play. Fayette County said that was an illegal snap, but it was ruled that it was good. It's 8-0. But right before half, Fayette County is going to strike with a little trickery of their own. Watch this. William Jacob Rickman to Keyshawn Hughes to Orlando Lawson Jr. That's a touchdown. Fayette County went for 2 and didn't get it. So it was 8-6. And Winfield with a strong rhythm on the ground, and they just kind of wore down Fayette County on Thursday night. Let's check out the final in this one. 35-6. Winfield gets the win last night up in Fayette. Well, still to come on WVUA 23's Football Friday, Alex Booth will take us behind enemy lines for the Georgia perspective on tomorrow night's big matchup in Tuscaloosa. But first, we'll check in on the rest of tonight's high school action with our complete Football Friday scoreboard. That's straight ahead when WVUA 23's Football Friday continues. Hillcrest High School, our Football Friday Marching Band of the Week. Welcome back to Football Friday here on WVUA 23. I'm Gary Harris. It's time now to check in on some other area scores from across Alabama. So let's turn our attention to the complete Football Friday scoreboard. Remember, a lot of teams on bye this week, so not many scores as we usually have. Let's go ahead and check them out. Let's run them down for you. It was Chilton County tonight down in Clinton taking care of Brookwood. 39-7 the final score in that one. Aliceville traveled to Demopolis, and the Demopolis Tigers beat the Aliceville Yellow Jackets 35-14 the final score in that one. What a win for Sipsey Valley on the road. The Bears at Marbury tonight, and Sipsey Valley gets a big road win, 35-32, and Greensboro gets a win on the road at R.C. Hatch, 23-6 the final. It was Greene County, speaking of another road win, at Sumter Central tonight down in York. Greene County, the Tigers from Utah get the victory. Kind of a rivalry game there, too. They're not that far apart, those two schools. Greene County wins at 8-6, and Berry all over Lamar County tonight, 50-14 the final there. It was Celigent winning at Hamilton, 42-28, and Valiant Cross won at Southern Academy down in Greensboro, 27-20 the final in that game. Also, Bessemer City tonight, no problems with Jackson Olin, 40-8, and Cherokee County wins over Shades Valley tonight, 20-6 the final in that game. Marengo loses big down in Livingston to University Charter. They play their games at the University of West Alabama, 48-0 the final. J.B. Pennington tonight gets it done against Cleveland in a big way, 37-13. It was Pleasant Grove over Anniston, 30-0 the final there. North River Christian, we've talked about this before. I do want to continue to point this out in 8-man football. North River's playing 8th graders and 9th graders, and they lose tonight at Meadowview Christian, 74-26, but playing for the future. I give those young men a lot of credit. Other finals, these were Thursday night games. It was Haleyville in overtime, losing at home to Lawrence County, 34-27, and Winona on Thursday night beat Huffman 28-6. And before we wrap it up, I got a few more scores here that you don't see on your scoreboard. It was Hackleburg winning over Phil Campbell 42-12. Victory Christian over Francis Marion 25-20, and it was Linden down in Southern Choctaw 16-14 the final. Well, that's going to do it for the scores tonight, but we're not done. When we return, Bama Central's Joe Gaither will join us for high school analysis from our game of the week. The 8-mile war between Pickens County and Gordo goes Gordo's way again. We'll be right back with more Football Friday.
We are the Bibb County Cheerleaders,
and we love Football Friday
on WVUA 23 Sports. Go Choctaws!
All right, thanks to Pool and Patio for our cheerleaders. Welcome back into Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. I'm Gary Harris, joined now by Bama Central's Joe Gaither for our high school game of the week breakdown. Joe was at Reform tonight for the Pickens County Gordo game. Listen, this is the 8-mile war. These, only 8 miles apart. Two great football programs. Gordo's a bigger school, but Pickens County has won, a lot of games in Class 1A, but Joe, Gordo has had their number. Now, I say that because Gordo is bigger, but some of these Pickens County teams that Gordo has beaten were really good teams, state championship caliber teams. That's not the case this year. A little bit of a rebuilding year for Michael Williams and the Pickens County Tornadoes, and we saw that tonight. It was about what we expected with Gordo.
Sure, it was really two programs in two different places.
Right.
Pickens County, I think only one senior on their offensive line, playing a lot of underclassmen as they could turn their program over. With 1A football and smaller numbers, you kind of have to go in cycles, and Coach Williams has been really, really good at gearing the cycle up. We're just starting kind of a cycle with this team. Losing 44-0 never really was in the game. Yeah,
I think you go all the way back to 2012 now, this winning streak for Gordo. Like I said, Gordo beat some really good Pickens County teams during that run. Listen, Michael Williams is a terrific coach. Great player at Pickens County. Was a great player at Alabama. Played in the NFL. He wants to win this game, but I think he understands for us to beat Gordo, we're probably going to have a really good team. And they may have to have an off night a little bit. That's just the reality. And I admire Pickens County for continuing to play this game because of what's at stake for the two communities.
Absolutely. 8 miles apart, and really you had everybody coming together there in Reform tonight, and it did kind of feel like a community event. And so, look, Michael Williams laid it all out there. They went with an onside kick from the very first play of the game. It was a collision right at midfield that they almost got. Didn't end up getting it. Got the stop on Gordo, but ultimately the punting game. Every time they lined up to punt, a bad snap, a blocked punt, kind of just misfortune. Three ended up in bad ways. One as a safety and 2 set up short fields. So just tough.
Closing thought. A lot of byes this week. A lot of non-region games, a lot of games between different classifications. And we saw some of the smaller schools come up big. 4A Bibb County over 6A Northridge, huge. 6A Parker over 7A Hoover, and also 6A Clay-Chalkville over 7A Thompson.
Oh, he is going to use, Mike Freeman, he's going to use the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty all week long, and really probably for years to come. When you lose a game on a 15-yard penalty, missing an extra point, it's really, really huge. Every yard matters.
Thank you, Joe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back after this. Welcome back to Football Friday. It's time now for our Outside the Huddle feature presented by Premier Service Company. Now we've got more on the 8-mile war between Gordo and Pickens County. Here's Football Friday's Stu McCann.
It is not just a game.
It's not. No, it's not. That's not another game.
The phrase has been used to describe countless rivalries across a myriad of competitions. It's not surprising to hear it, but it feels different in Pickens County.
Beat Gordo, beat Gordo.
I hate losing, number one. Especially hate losing to Reform.
If you don't beat Reform, you're probably going to get a phone call or some hate mail maybe.
Can't stand them. I was raised that way. My dad told me ever since I was little, we've always had somebody playing in this game. He taught me, you don't ever date a girl from Gordo, don't talk to no girl, don't talk to people, don't be friends with nobody from Gordo. It just runs deep.
Trash talk does not define the 8-mile war rivalry. In fact, the best way to sum up the series may be what isn't said. Gordo will not say the name Pickens County High School.
Reform, not they didn't call us.
I mean, they won't call us Pickens County. They'll say those Reformians over there.
And I feel like that's just part of it. We don't like saying Gordo around here. We don't like any of that. I won't even text at people most of the time.
When you think about a high school in Pickens County, I think they want it to be Gordo. Like, we are the Pickens County High School. Not my words, their words.
It may be a case of the winners get to make the rules. Gordo has won 10 straight meetings with Pickens County and 20 of the past 24 going back to 2001. That coincides with a shift bigger than head-to-head results. Up until 2001, the schools were of comparable size, rivals in Class 2A. In the past 2 decades, each school's enrollment has moved in different directions. Gordo has grown, reaching as high as Class 4A in 2020. Meanwhile, the student body at Pickens County High School has plateaued.
So I feel like there's added pressure for us because we are the bigger school. We shouldn't lose to them. That's not how it's always been. You can tell by the record.
Gordo Greenway. Stump me.
Michael Williams never used to be at a loss of words or emotions talking about Gordo High School. He has been a part of 11 8-mile war rivalry games as either a player or a coach.
If you would ask me this question 5 years ago, it would have been a whole lot of negative. Sure. But now I would say they do things the right way. They play the game the right way. But the day of reckoning is coming. The day of reckoning is coming. That's what I would say.
He knows what this rivalry means, and he knows what it is to play against Gordo because he's been a part of some teams that have beat Gordo in the past, so he knows this rivalry.
In terms of football accomplishments, Williams has done it all. He was a part of 3 national championships at Alabama and won a Super Bowl ring with the New England Patriots. For him, it doesn't get any bigger than the 8-mile war.
This game means more to me than the Alabama-Auburn game because of this is where I come from. This is where I grew up. instilled into this community. So to do that for this community is probably one of the biggest things for me.
To know what makes the 8 Mile War rivalry not just another game, you have to live it. Not just for one night, but for 365. This rivalry makes legends.
Thank you, Stu. That is awesome. Coming up, Conyers Corner, and Alex Booth will take us behind enemy lines. That's straight ahead on Football Friday.
We're the Thompson cheerleaders, and we love Football Friday on WVUA 23. Let us go!
It's been quite an honor for me, but over the years, I've developed quite a few real close relationships with a lot of players. Right now, Harvey Arenas and I, but we see each other, we run, hug, and carry. Harvey's just a real great friend. And then we had a little guy named Ronzel Washington, walk-on, never gonna play. But Ronzel lives in Washington, D.C. right now, and he and I talk quite a bit. Stabler and I, we weren't really close or anything, but we knew each other pretty well. And Kenny, by the way, a lot of people don't realize Kenny was a heck of a baseball player, great pitcher. It's something we're like right now, got Freddie Roach over there. Freddie and I were real good friends. There's just so many, it'd be kind of hard to say. But right now, Harvey Arenas is, if I had to have one, I reckon it'd be Harvey.
All the players, past and present, love Eddie Conyers. Well, welcome back to Football Friday. The mega matchup tomorrow night at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium between Alabama and Georgia is the game of the year to this point in college football. Football Friday's Alex Booth takes us behind enemy lines with Maria Martin from 11 Alive in Atlanta.
Alabama and Georgia face off once again as the Bulldogs visit Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Georgia is coming off a scare last game as the Bulldogs beat Kentucky 13-12.
The fan base was panicked a little bit after that road trip to Kentucky, and I don't know that that was necessarily warranted just because Kentucky and Georgia typically play a really close game, and that's a very tough environment for Georgia to play in. I thought it was a really good test for Georgia to go on the road and play an SEC opponent before they're going to go into Bryant-Denny Stadium, which, as we all know, is going to be one of the best, if not the best, atmospheres in college football this fall.
Typically, when these two teams meet, it has come with extremely high postseason stakes. 11 Alive sports anchor in Atlanta, Maria Martin, says that may not be the case this time.
I think the one really good thing for Georgia, and not just Georgia, but any team, Alabama, Ole Miss, it doesn't matter, is this 12-team playoff now gives you a little bit more room for error. You know, previously when we'd been talking about these recent undefeated Georgia teams in recent history, especially when they won those national championships, the two since 2021, you know, there wasn't a lot of room for error, but now there is. If you lose at Alabama, perhaps you lose at an Ole Miss or at Texas, there is a chance that you could still get in depending on what the rest of college football looks like.
The quarterback battle in this game will be highlighted by Jalen Milroe and Carson Beck. Beck had Heisman hopes entering this season, but hasn't performed up to the expectations yet.
And now we're only 3 games in, so I don't want people to panic too much, but he hasn't really put up a Heisman-type caliber year so far. And when I go back to talking about panic, that's kind of where it comes from, is people are not panicked about Carson Beck, but a little concerned because he hasn't shown flashes of what we know he's very capable of. He's a veteran quarterback. He's going to be very good in the NFL. I truly believe that. But the game so far, he hasn't had the ability to show off a little bit of what he can do.
For the Bulldogs to pull off a win over Alabama on Saturday, they will have to execute 2 main keys.
Establish the run and let Carson play a little bit more free. We've talked about him playing free over the last couple of years, and you saw a lot of that last year, but how do you unlock that in Tuscaloosa? That's going to be very, very tough to do.
Thanks, Alex and Maria. Now here's Tide TV's Christopher England with Alabama defensive lineman Tim Keenan first off the field.
We're here inside the Hank Chris indoor practice facility. First off the practice field, I'm joined by defensive lineman Tim Keenan. Tim, how's practice out there today?
Man, you know, it's always good. The first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, play some football, so that's always a blessing. Man, we had a good one. You know, Tuesday practice, we got full padded, you know, mostly run, so, you know, we got down and dirty.
You had the bye week. What was the bye week like? Were you able to kind of get some rest, just kind of refresh your mind a little bit going into this big SEC stretch?
Yeah, bye week was definitely needed. Was able to recover my body and whatnot. You know, get some stuff done outside of football, just at home and with school and getting caught up, not necessarily caught up, but getting ahead in school and stuff like that. So the bye week was real relaxing.
So you did something on the bye week, man. Got a nice new hairdo there. Just kind of talk about that, man. Looks fresh.
Yeah, man. You know, Big Sis, she get me right. You know, I'm the prettiest dude you ever gonna see, so I gotta stay looking good. You know, shout out to Future, shout out Dragon Ball Z. You know, you see the blonde, call me Goldilocks or whatever. It don't matter.
Well, Tim, I like the hairdo, man. Looks nice. Let's jump back to that Wisconsin game a little bit, man. The defense was all over the place, laying hard hits. You had a tackle for loss. Just kind of talk about the defensive effort there against the Badgers in Wisconsin.
Yeah, you know, the home invasion, we always plan to go execute the coach's plan, just play within ourselves and don't beat ourselves, and we'll be just fine. Just the mindset of, you know, do job one to get the job two. So there's always the steps in the sequence. So when everybody got one mindset, it's hard to beat.
We're going to talk about the defense, how it's evolved. Going into your fourth game here, seemed like that defense is just getting better each week and really showed up last week against Wisconsin there. And you're really going to need it going against a tough Georgia team this week.
Definitely. Well, one thing I know I try to pride myself in and make an echo is we rebuke complacency, very spiritual. So it's just like praying against complacency, praying against satisfaction, and just trying to get better and go 1-0 every day and every week.
This is a Georgia Bulldogs team you know pretty well. Beat them last year in the SEC championship game. They have their quarterback returning, a lot of other guys returning from that team. Just kind of talk about the matchup with the Bulldogs here on Saturday night.
Well, yeah, you know they're a good team, good SEC ball. We've seen them in the championship last year. So we know we're going to have to come to play. Ain't nothing easy, especially in the SEC. And it's going to be one to remember for the books.
All right, so let's talk about that atmosphere. It's going to be a big-time game. All eyes in the sports world are going to be on Tuscaloosa on Saturday night with Georgia coming in and a lot of other things going on. Just kind of talk about that atmosphere, how the fans can really affect it. But just for you, how fun is that to be able to play in an atmosphere like that in Bryant-Denny?
Well, you know, when the camera's always rolling, I love a camera, you know, call me Showtime if you want to. But I feel like in those moments, that's when you made, you feel, when the pressure's on, see what you made of, see how you prepared, see, you know, what you've been doing to get your result and your outcome. So the fans is always, you know, a good time when you get to roll up to the game and it's packed out. Look like a Coachella concert or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's still football. The main goal is to, you know, go get that W, go do what we got to do, handle business, and then we can enjoy the rest later.
Good luck on Saturday night, Tim, and look forward to talking to you in the future. And roll tide.
Roll tide.
For Tim Keenan, I'm Christopher England, and that's it for First Off the Field.
Still to come around the SEC, recruiting tales, and our game day forecast. Stay with us. Another big weekend is coming up in the Southeastern Conference, and Sam Holly is going to take us around the SEC.
Obviously, the biggest game of the weekend, not only in the SEC, but in college football, is here at Saban Field in Bryant-Denny Stadium. But allow me to take you around the conference for some notable games this weekend. First, we go to the Plains for a matchup between two offenses that have struggled big time this year. Last week, the Sooners suffered a loss to Tennessee at home and benched quarterback Jackson Arnold, who started the first 4 games this season in favor of true freshman Michael Hawkins. Hawkins will become the first true freshman quarterback to start on the road for Oklahoma since Troy Aikman in 1984. Meanwhile, the Tigers' quarterback play may be worse than OU, but expect Auburn to roll with senior Peyton Thorne, who finished the game last week in a 24-14 loss to Arkansas. The #1 team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, will be playing their first conference game since joining the SEC as they face off with Mississippi State at home. According to ESPN Bet, the Longhorns spent most of the week as 38-point favorites. MSU is coming off a 45-21 loss to Florida and lost senior starting quarterback Blake Shapen to a season-ending shoulder injury. Bulldogs head coach Jeff Lebby is confident in true freshman Michael Van Buren, who will start his first game of his career in front of 100,000 fans.
You know, Mike can do a lot of very similar things that Blake has the ability to do. They can keep some things alive with his feet. He really can. He can go make the throws that we need him to make.
Jerry World is the site of maybe the best matchup in the conference this week, outside of Alabama and Georgia, between Arkansas and 24th-ranked Texas A&M. The Razorbacks lead the all-time series 42-35, but the Aggies have won 9 out of their last 10 matchups. Both teams come into this game at 3-1. Arkansas quarterback Taylon Green is ranked 7th in the Southeastern Conference in rushing with 325 yards, while Texas A&M quarterback Connor Weigman is listed as questionable. If he can't go, the Aggies will start freshman Marcel Reed, who has rushed for over 150 yards in his last 2 games. So I'll do the math for you. Possibly 3 freshman quarterbacks will start on Saturday. That'll do it for Around the SEC. I'm Sam Holly with Football Friday.
Thank you, Sam. You know you're a special athlete when you're the subject of an intense recruiting battle in the 8th grade. Dylan Moses was that guy. Here's On 3's Andrew Bones with this week's Recruiting Tales.
Dylan was in the 2017 recruiting class, but it felt like his recruitment kind of started in 2012. He was on the cover of ESPN magazine before the start of his freshman year of high school. ESPN The Mag was this huge deal. When Dylan Moses was on the cover of that, it was an even bigger deal because he was a freshman in high school. Everybody in the country knew who he was. A kid that is 14 years old, everybody in the country knows who you are, and you better live up to those expectations every single day. I remember he was offered as an 8th grader by LSU, and Alabama offered him probably a week or 2 after that happened. A lot of times when you're in 8th grade, there's all these high expectations that are placed on you that 9 times out of 10, they don't live up to it. Dylan was this big-time recruit from his 8th grade year, and he was a 5-star as a senior because he was a 5-star caliber player, throughout his entire high school football journey. But ends up signing in that 2017 class, which probably will go down as Nick Saban's best recruiting class that he had at Alabama. Not because of it being ranked number 1, but because of all the NFL talent that came from that class. Dylan ends up getting hurt kind of late in his career, but he was an outstanding football player. He certainly, in my opinion, lived up to every bit of hype that he had as an 8th grader.
Wow. Well, the weather has certainly been active this week. Here's WVUA 23 weather specialist Nick Temple with your game day forecast.
Hey, I'm Nick Temple with your forecast update going into the weekend and the big game. So this is your Saturday timeline, and this is what we can expect. So we're waking up very comfortable, 65 degrees. We got a couple clouds there, and we got a rain chance by the noon hour, 72 degrees. But by the afternoon, we're going to get up to 78 degrees. So that rain chance is going to be very minimal. I've left it off the game day planner because I think it's not going to be any disruption to the game. So 4 p.m. when you're entering the stadium, just a mix of sun and clouds, 78 degrees. And as we go through the rest of the game, it's just going to be even more comfortable being in the stadium, getting down to 70 degrees by the 4th quarter. So this is what we're looking at in terms of rain chances. Got a slight chance of rain there in the morning, and then we have another slight chance of rain right there at that noon hour. But after that, we get out and free from that rain for the game. So rain chances beyond tomorrow going into Sunday, they're very minimal. Saturday, 20%. Sunday, very minimal. And we're very clear as we go into your work week. And that's the same with our temperatures. We're going to be right on average for this time of year with highs in the 80s and lows in the 60s. So if we look at your 7-day forecast, so beyond this weekend, we're looking great in terms of weather. We can see no foreseeable rain chances for the next several days ahead with those highs in the lower 80s and lows in the 60s. So that's a look at your forecast update going into the weekend. Roll Tide and enjoy the game.
Thanks, Nick. We're all ready for tomorrow night. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Football Friday. I want to thank all of our great sponsors and also want to thank all of the great folks that work on this show and make it possible. And a reminder to join us tomorrow night and Sunday night for WVUA 23 News at 10 with all the great weekend coverage, including the big game between Alabama and Georgia. Take a look at all these names on your screen. They make it all happen here for Football Friday. We appreciate you being with us. You can catch a replay or catch it anytime at WVUA23.com. Also, download our WVUA23 app and keep informed with WVUA 23. Have a good night, everybody, and a great weekend. Roll Tide.